Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is a no, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
Let's have a little Christmas music, funkhouser. So you know the expression, you don't want to see how the sausage is made? Meaning, sausage is delicious. However, if you knew everything was ground up and put into that tube of intestinal skin, you might find it a bit of a stomach-turning proposition to eat said delicious sausage, i.e., you don't want to know how the sausage is made. I think that's true for most things. Man, we talk about this all the time on the show, but you get into things like radio because you have a love of music. And the more you learn about it, the more you're kind of intimately involved with the music business, the business side of the music, the more you're seeing how the sausage is made and the less magic is left in it. It's the reason why I don't want to try and weasel my way into a dugout at a baseball game or something like that. As much as I love baseball, I don't want to be up close and personal. I want to preserve that magic. I don't want to know how the baseball sausage is made. I know how the music sausage is made. That's taken some enjoyment out of said sausage, not all of it, but yeah, I don't want that to happen with baseball. The political sausage, due to the way that information travels in 2016, I think during this election, we had a better look at how the sausage was made than we ever had at any election in the past, and it did not taste good, my friend. No, it did not. There's a serious amount of disillusionment that's come along with knowing how said political sausage was made in America and in other parts of the world. So generally speaking, you don't want to know how delicious sausage is made. You don't want the backstory. You don't want all of that. But there's one area of life where the more I find out about it, the more I find out about things that I wasn't necessarily taught growing up, the more I like it. And that's Christmas. I love seeing how the Christmas sausage is made. Not literally something we're going to eat on Christmas Day, but, Christmas. Annual festival commemorating the birth of Jesus Christ. Now, most commonly, we observe it on the 25th of December. And this is where the sausage-making part comes into it. As much as we celebrate December 25th, the month and the date of Jesus' birth from a historical perspective are... well, there's a question mark around that. It's unknown. And, the Western Christian Church placed Christmas on December 25th. And that's been adopted throughout much of the world. Thanks in most part to the older Julian calendar. People threw that out. The Julian calendar corresponds January 7th to being the date of Christ's birth. And that gap from December 25th to the 7th, you know what that's all about? That's the 12 days of Christmas. People wanted to agree upon when they should celebrate. Are we celebrating because of the Gregorian calendar? Are we celebrating the birth of Christ due to the Julian calendar? How are we going to do this? Well, it's just, let's not fight. Let's make it the 12 days of Christmas. And a lot of people think that Christmas, December 25th, became a date of celebration for a bunch of different reasons, or a bunch of different factors that might have influenced that particular choice. This is a date that the Romans marked as the winter solstice. And also, there is this Roman festival around the god Saturn. It's called Saturnalia, one of the most popular Roman festivals. And if you look into Saturnalia, which happened December 17th through the 25th, man, it was kind of like the Purge. It was a week-long period of lawlessness celebrated from the 17th to the 25th of December. And during this period, Roman courts were closed and Roman law dictated that no one could be punished for damaging property or injuring people during the celebration. The festival began when Roman authorities chose an enemy of the Roman people to represent the Lord of Misrule. Each Roman community selected a victim who they forced to indulge in food and other physical pleasures throughout the week. And as the world starting with the Roman Empire, began to be united through religion, through Christianity. It became helpful. It became helpful to combine Christian festivals with pre-existing tradition. All right, well, we have like this big feast, December 25th or thereabouts. We're not totally sure about the birth of Christ. Let's celebrate it, December 25th. And despite knowing all this, despite knowing how the Christmas sausage is made, there's a reason why I love it more and more the more I know about it. Why? Why should you rejoice as opposed to feeling like, oh man, I didn't know that's how it went down? Well, I'm glad you asked. We'll talk about that.
Let's start the show.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So, there's all these Christmas traditions. We're talking, I suppose, about how the Christmas sausage is made. Saturnalia was this big Roman pagan festival. And well, a lot of the Christmas traditions that we kind of celebrate, they are intimately tied to things that happened in Norse mythology. And during this festival of, what would you call it? It was like the Saturnalia was essentially like the purge. All the courts were closed and you couldn't be punished for crime for a period of a week. And there you go. But, I mean, interesting stuff, like with the origin of the Christmas tree. Christians recruited Roman pagans by associating Christmas with the Saturnalia. So, basically, what they were doing with the Christmas tree tradition was they were combining it with a pagan ritual where pagans had long worshipped trees in the forest. So they're like, all right, okay, let's Saturnalia and the birth of Christ. We're going to combine these things because there's a pre-existing party that we can jump onto, and they also like trees. We're going to have some of that. And there's interesting origin stories behind all of these amazing Christmas traditions that we know and love and take for granted. And you know what? A lot of cynical folks would say, "Ugh, I'm not sure about this. This is in stark contradiction to what I believe. I don't want to know it was part of some Roman pagan festival that was the equivalent of the purge, and really what we're doing is worshiping a pagan tree because they believe in nature and not God." See, for me, though, it's the exact opposite. For me, what Christmas has evolved into: peace on earth, joy to the world, goodwill toward all men. That, to me, is basically proof that there's hope, that we're good, that we've taken an opportunity, seized a day, whatever day it was, however it started out, and we've used it as an opportunity to be awesome to one another. And I love that. It started out as this festival of lawlessness where you couldn't be punished for anything, and it was chaos in the streets. And over the years, we've evolved this into a tradition of being good to our fellow person. You give me such a great gift every single day. You let me keep you company every day. Every day, we're sharing conversation and laughter and music. And for me, I got to be honest with you, being able to do this with you, it's almost like Christmas every day. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for another amazing year doing this. I was doing the math, and I've been on the radio for so much of my life. If you've been listening to me for a while now, it feels like we've all grown up together. It's awesome. And it really does feel like every single day is Christmas because I get to do this. But as much as it does feel that way, and thank you for that, I got to say, I love Christmas time. I love Christmas. Christmas is my favorite. Christmas is absolutely my favorite. Why? Not because of gifts, not because of food, not because of the time that you spend with your friends and family and loved ones. All that's great. All that's so great. But to me, what I love the most about Christmas is that through the tradition of the celebration of the birth of Christ, what we celebrate, all of us, and this is what I love the most about Christmas, is the spirit of giving. Christmas to me is the happiness that you get when you see joy in others that you help create. I love Christmas. I love Christmas because I can't think of anything else on earth that bonds all of us around the world through a spirit of goodwill toward each other the way Christmas does. No matter what tradition it is that you're observing locally, it bonds all of us through a spirit of goodwill. So I hope that no matter who you are or what you believe, you're going to join me this Christmas in keeping love in your heart for all. We might have met. We might not. But you join me in this today and most days. I want you to know I love you. I have love in my heart for you. I wish you a wonderful and Merry Christmas. And I wish only the very best in the new year for you and yours. Peace on earth. Merry Christmas to all. And to all, good night.
Sometimes you just know you're done. You're longing for that shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away. Time won't stop, but I'll stop time to run away and make you mine. I'll take you where you wanna be. I'll make you love me so you'll see.
Real radio. Real radio. Real radio. Real radio. 104.1.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on.
So funkhouser, what did we go do the other night?
We went and saw Metallica at a tiny little concert in Los Angeles, California.
Yeah, usually they play to like 60,000 or so people. We saw them play to about, I think it was 750 people
Something
that were there.
like that, yes.
Yeah, it was...
It's pretty sweet.
It's one of those surreal moments where just like how the hell did we end up here? Like there's all these movers and or shakers and to be fair to Metallica, I mean I think there were movers and shakers there because it was Los Angeles, California. You can't kind of keep them out of the room in those situations. But most of the people there were just like us. They were big Metallica fans, like people that Metallica had gotten in through their fan club and things like that. I think there was a lottery system, and I think like for these shows, it's a $10 ticket or something, like it was back in the day when Metallica started out and they give all the money to charity. But yeah, it was kind of crazy. It's just like, oh, look, there's guys from Alice in Chains. There's that guy from that TV show. There's Homeboy from Rage Against the Machine. And it was insane.
Yeah.
And look, if you're like me, the idea of that on paper, hey, a bunch of jaded industry Fs, feeling special and different from everybody else because they get to see Metallica up close and personal, sounds awful. Like we were talking about not knowing how the music sausage is made in the past and how it can take a lot of the magic out of it. This to me on paper, as much as it's cool to be there, sounds like one of those situations where all the magic can get sucked right out of it. You know, it's this schmoozy industry thing. And like, but what was amazing about it is the moment those guys took the stage, every single member of the audience that was there to be a freaking cool ass poser, like, oh sure, yeah, I'm there at the Metallica show. Oh, you couldn't get in? Maybe you should talk to my agent in the future. Like all that pretense went out the window, and people were like spilling beer on each other and punching each other in the mosh pit. Like heads of record labels were just like losing their S in the pit. It was great. It was one of those instances where you were returned to everything that made music important to you when you were 14 years old and reminded of why you do it. And it was awesome. They were awesome. And not only that, but we got to talk to Robert Trujillo of Metallica right before he went and played the show. A cooler guy to speak to you could not find. He's a great storyteller. He's a great guy. He's an amazing musician. And besides being in Metallica, he was also in Suicidal Tendencies. He played with Ozzy. He's really been around the world and done like a bazillion things and is a fantastically gifted musician. So we got to chat with him, and we've got that interview ready, right? Funkhouser, that's the thing?
A little later, yeah, we'll be doing that. Mm-hmm.
All right. So we talked to Robert Trujillo of Metallica. We were incredibly fortunate to do so, and we'll bring you our backstage conversation with him. Yeah. We went in there. We went in there with microphones and a recorder, and it was really cool. We'll play that for you a little later on. Right now, though, Funkhouser, how you feeling? You feeling festive?
Sure. I guess so.
Did you get your holiday gift from me?
Oh, yes.
This is My Witness News. In no way, shape, or form fair, and certainly not balanced. And now, super producer to the stars, Barry Funkhouser. Barry Funkhouser.
Who?
Barry Funkhouser. Barry Funkhouser.
Yes, thank you for the gift.
Did you consume any of the gift?
Not yet, no.
Not yet. Well, you know, like it'll keep.
Still trying to figure out how to the best route to cook them Omaha steaks, man. Oh.
Well, perhaps in the new year we'll get into the backstory behind said delicious steaks.
Yes.
Unless you want to talk about it now, you want to wait till the new year.
Let's wait till the new year. Let's wait till after I've consumed said steaks.
Yeah. When you are emboldened by red meat.
That's a New Year's Eve new tradition, I think.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Emboldened by meat.
Yeah, when you're emboldened by delicious dead cow, we'll talk about the reason behind the cow. Right now, though, let's move.
Move on.
Move on. It's utterly time to continue.
Rogue One repeatedly has an anti-Trump message.
Yeah, you're not a Star Wars guy, so you didn't go see it, did you?
The most uncomfortable holiday conversation with me is, hey, so did you see the new Star Wars Rogue One?
Yeah. Haven't seen the old Star Wars, the first Star Wars, any of the Star Wars is. If there's a Star Wars fun, have you seen any Star Wars? Like even just 10, 15 minutes of one?
Yeah, mostly I've seen it. I've consumed it in that order, like 10, 15 minutes at a time.
Right,
but I get it. Come on.
Yeah, people are saying it has an anti-Trump message. I don't know. I watched it, but I didn't think too deeply into it. It wasn't. I mean, look, there's always been a message, a political thing to Star Wars, and a lot of people would tell you that it was very much based on the Third Reich. There's an empire, they're trying to take over the galaxy, then the Rebel Alliance is trying to fight back, and in sort of like a guerrilla warfare, marauding sort of way, take out key points of this enormous empire, and blah blah blah, and military supremacy, and all of the above. So, a lot of people connected that with Hitler very, very early on. The anti-Trump thing, well, I guess people are connecting Hitler and Trump and imperialism and all that sort of stuff. By the way, if you are one of those folks that does the comparison of, and people have done this with every president, Obama's a Hitler, Trump's a Hitler, he's grooming brown shirts, all that sort of stuff. Maybe... Look, everybody's got their due. Everyone's got the ability to speak freely, kind of, sort of, in terms of You're allowed to say what the hell is on your mind. But it's interesting. I talked to some Jewish friends about this a little while ago, and without provocation. And these are not fellows that are sensitive about such things, and they are not pro-Trump types. But they're like, yeah, Grandma died in a concentration camp, so it was a little close to the mark. Hearing people describe Donald Trump as a Hitler. You can say he might potentially be somebody that wants to conquer parts of the world and is going to do so in an inhumane way, but my grandmother died in a concentration camp because of Hitler, and you're kind of minimizing what my family and families like mine went through when you call Trump a Hitler. I was just like, wow, this is one of the very few times I've heard people be offended, or at least my friends. My friends are thick-skinned individuals that work in show business, and the expression "if it makes you grin, leave it in" is one that we all seem to live by. And it was one of the very few times where I've ever heard them say that was offensive to me. That was hard to take. That was hard to swallow. That really made me uncomfortable hearing that. And I've heard it over and over again. And what's very interesting about that is, well, no, I think we covered what's interesting for that. Are we good, Funkhouser?
I think so. Yeah.
I'm sorry. You know what? I can't even front like anything's normal today. My computer is absolutely freaking out. Like, I had this stuff in front of me that I thought maybe I would talk about. Screen just went blue. I got nothing. I got zip saying nada.
No.
So that's what's interesting about that. Blue screen of death. All right, Funkhouser, continue. Let's now we've peeled back the radio curtains.
Is that the equivalent of getting coal for Christmas when you get a blue screen?
I guess so. Maybe.
Have we been bad little boys?
I don't know.
Harrison Ford punched Ryan Gosling in the face on the set of the Blade Runner sequel?
Yeah.
Get off my plane.
Touche, replied dudes who were forced to sit through the Notebook. I hope when he punched him, he was like, "No ticket." And if you... But yeah, like the anti-Trump message in Rogue One. I guess if you haven't seen it, Funkhouser, you wouldn't know. Probably the first time a lot of people have been saying Star Wars has ventured into politics since Princess Leia choked out Chris Christie with a chain in Return of the Jedi.
I get that.
So there you go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You've seen enough of Star Wars to get that. Go on.
Okay, here we go with the Kardashian news. Khloe says you should set realistic fitness goals.
Khloe Kardashian said you should set realistic fitness goals?
Yes.
Such as don't expect your $8,000 a day trainer to achieve what a $10,000 a day trainer can achieve. That's all right. There we go. That's good realism.
So Kim Kardashian is annoyed that Kanye West is continuing to work after his mental breakdown.
Well, without letting the e-cameras film it, yes.
You're letting all this go. This is gold.
Oh, go on.
Scott Baio says he was attacked at an elementary school function by the wife of the drummer for the Red Hot Chili Peppers for being a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
Hey, didn't we talk
physically
to that
attacked. What?
Didn't we talk to the drummer?
We did, yeah. We talked to Chad Smith. Apparently his wife, very anti-Scott Baio because Scott Baio was very pro-Trump. I believe Scott Baio was a little shaken and upset, but also kind of psyched that somebody recognized him. If this is true, and notice I pepper this by saying if. I pepper this with my questioning of the facts by saying if this is true. Man, just like Hillary supporters or Bernie supporters or whatever, very poor losers. Very poor losers. Like, I mean, you have your right to discourse, you have your right to disagree, you have your right to your opinion, you have your right to assemble peacefully. But, like, come on. Pull this one over the side of the reality turnpike. You're going to punch Scott Baio at a children's function because your person didn't get elected? There's significantly better ways to go about it than that. What else? I wonder if we're not going to get the drummer from the Chili Peppers back on now.
Well, we won't get his wife. That's for sure.
Right.
Mrs. Smith. Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus has named their first ever female ringleader.
Huh. When was the last time you went to a circus?
Last year.
Was it Ringling?
Yeah.
Oh, you really?
Mm-hmm.
Don't they not have elephants in them anymore?
Yeah, no, it's different. It's a lot of acrobatics now. Less and less animals every year. Good thing.
More like ball of death, right? Like that thing that they put like 8 motorcycles in a teeny tiny little ball and just go for it. Well, there you go. I remember the first time I went to see Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus as an adult. It was a couple years ago, and the what is it? Ringleader, ringmaster, what do you?
Ringleader, yeah.
Yeah, he was a black guy, and like I remember talking to the Barnum and Bailey people beforehand, and they're like, "Yep, and we are shattering preconceptions with our black ringleader. How inclusive!" And I was just like, "See, when you talk about it like that, it becomes less inclusive and more creepy." And so now they've got a female ringleader, and they want to let the world know.
Press release.
Yeah, press release. Yep. I don't know. You know what? I mean, here's the thing, though. It's great that stuff like this happens. And I suppose the reason why I get a little shirty about it is it shouldn't be a big deal. It is because it's a first, but every time there's a first now, I'm just like, settle the hell down. It's 2016. You know what this means? This means we can just not worry about this stuff anymore and get on with our lives. And this is not taking away from these firsts. This is not taking away from the first people that have managed to shatter a preconception of what something is and who should have a certain job or position or role in life. It's just that these problems of inequality that we face in 2016, this was not supposed to be our problem. This was not supposed to be even our grandparents' problem. This was supposed to be Abraham Lincoln's problem. It is crazy to me that any of this is still a thing or still exists. And so every time a woman becomes the first woman to do something, or someone that is not white becomes the first non-white person to do something, I think it's awesome. And I think it's awesome for a couple of reasons. One, that's awesome. Good for you. That should have happened years ago. We shouldn't even be talking about this because that's so backward that this is even a question that this would happen. But the other thing that I really appreciate about it is like anything that pushes a narrative of equality and makes it something that we don't talk about, like the more it happens, the less we got to talk about it. And the less we got to talk about it, the easier going it's going to be. And so, like, I'm very big on congratulating the first one. And then I kind of don't want to make a big deal of it anymore, just because I think the less we talk about it, the more it becomes the norm and the closer we move to equality. Does that make sense, Funkhouser? Does that hang together?
I'm on that boat.
Yeah.
Real radio. 104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
All right, so we're going to run through our interview with Robert Trujillo of Metallica. We got a backstage right before Metallica. We're about to play the Fonda Theater in Los Angeles, California the other night. And it was stuff that we were truly privileged to get from him. We're going to play you that a little later on in the show. Funkhouser and I went on site. We went on site.
I did not do that
a bunch
in
of
person.
Roving reporters. Yeah, probably a good move that you didn't do your James Hetfield impersonation. Can I tell them what you did do, though?
Sure, man. Go for it. Yeah,
can I tell them how your life went full circle and you encountered somebody that fired you back in the day?
The first person in my whole career that fired me. Well,
yeah, and here's the thing. You were fired. I probably shouldn't say his name or the name of the radio station, should I?
No, but no. I don't know.
Right.
I don't care. Who cares?
I'm not gonna.
Okay.
But
big one.
Funkhouser, back in 1999, 2000?
2000.
Little Funk, getting his very first job in radio. And here's the thing. You were like a board op or something like that, right?
Yeah, they'd hire you in the middle of the night to push all the buttons. And
right. But as much as it was just being hired to be a board op to push buttons in the middle of the night, this was a big deal radio station. This is a radio station that is known all over the world, and especially if you're like Funkhouser, if you hail from the Los Angeles, California neighborhood, this is just this giant behemoth of a signal and a station. It truly is a legendary place. So, for someone to get an overnight board op job there in the middle of the night,
huge.
Is a huge deal. Like, it's basically the start of enormous things. I worked at this station. That's where I got my big break. Oh, you want to go work at literally any other radio station in America? Because that door is now open to you. That's kind of the pecking order in radio. So here's Funkhouser in the year 2000.
thousand.
He's working overnight. And how many days had you worked?
Oh, I was like 3, 4, 5 months into it, and they scheduled me for a live concert where they had a couple commercials to play.
And it was your job to make sure the concert aired properly and play the commercials.
Easy, right?
Well, you would think.
They were 2 of them back to back, and they were the same, so I didn't play one of them.
Oh, right. So they
don't want to hear this twice in a row. I'll take this out.
Yeah, and in the radio industry, when you take out a commercial, that's known as doing what?
Dropping a spot.
Yep, you dropped a spot. When something's supposed to air and it doesn't air and you drop it, well, that creates problems and difficulties for the traffic department and the sales department, and a thing called a make good has to be done, and all of this happens. And what happened? What happened when you dropped that spot? You know, you're 4 or 5 months into your dream radio job. Things are on the up and up for a little Funkhouser in the year 2000. You drop a spot, though, and then what? One little spot in the middle of the night. What happens?
You're fired!
Funkhouser's fired for dropping a spot in the middle of the night. By the way, this is a very nerdy radio conversation, but we're going somewhere with it. And you've carried this one around with you for a long time. Like, I think the first time I met Funkhouser, it was like, "Hi, I'm going to be your producer. It's nice to meet you. I got fired from a huge radio station in the year 2000 for dropping a spot. Let me assure you this won't happen." I'm like, "Settle down. We're cool." That's
the opposite of I once scored 7 touchdowns in a single game.
Yeah. So you've been carrying this weight of the drop spot that knocked you off your chosen career trajectory for the past 16 years now.
Yeah. Yeah, it was from the beginning.
And who do we run into at the Metallica show? But the man, the myth, the legend, the radio industry power player that said what to you, Funkhouser?
What'd he say? He said I was fired, yeah. You were fired.
You don't have that piece of audio again?
No.
Really?
Yes, I do. Here it is. Hold on.
You're fired!
We met the man who said that to Funkhouser at the Metallica show, hanging around the lobby. And Funkhouser had a beer or 3 at that stage in the game. And he was like, dude, that's a guy. Dude, that's a guy. We should go talk to him. I'm like, well, why?
Well, no, our mutual friend was like, hey, I know him really well. Let's go introduce you. It's friendly.
And you're very into that. Yeah. Like, you're very into that. Like, Funkhouser really loves... I'm kind of a guy that works and goes home. Like, you don't tend to see me out and about at these radio things. But Funkhouser is a guy that loves radio so much. And I love radio, but I don't know if anybody loves radio the way Funkhouser loves radio. Like, you love radio, you love the people, you know. Funkhouser knows intimate details of the history of stations with signals that don't get outside of their backyard in Nowheresville, Kansas. Like, he knows everything about every radio station ever. I think the reason you're so good at radio is because you love it so much. So we're hanging out, and you're getting a chance to sort of like bond with your fellow radio folks, especially folks in the Los Angeles community, and you get a chance to see this guy who fired you in the year 2000. It's a full circle moment to you. But, you know, what do? Hey, nice to meet you. You fired me 15 years ago. Who does that? I mean, come on. Like, who? Oh wait, Funkhouser does that after 3 beers. after 3 Michelob Ultras. After 3 Michelob Ultras, Funkhouser's walls came down. Oh, and we're hanging out talking to this guy, and I see this. You know how the Grinch smiles a Grinch smile when he gets the idea of stealing Christmas from the Who's? That's the smile that Funkhouser smiled right before he said, this isn't the first time we met. I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. We're going to hear the story of the drop commercial and the firing. And Funkhouser was like, yeah, you fired me in the year 2000 for dropping a commercial. And the guy wanted to... Fire! The guy wished the ground would swallow him up. He wished the Fonda Theater would split open and he would disappear. It was awkward. It was uncomfortable. And he's like, well, are good things happening now? He's like, yes, now I'm working with this guy, AD. I was just like, okay. This is not a ringing benediction for the great turn your life has taken since he fired you. But okay, if you want to, whatever gets you through the day, dude. Like, tell him that.
Things are going absolutely great.
Yeah,
they've been fine since 2000. No problems.
Yeah. And so Funkhouser eventually let's fly like Mussolini from the balcony, like to put it in the George Costanza way. And in his hysteria to let this guy know the role he's played in his past and go full circle, drops his beer all over the floor. I was like, oh, Funkhouser, every time you're around this guy, you drop something.
With the blinged out style, fake can silicone for a mile.
Real radio. 104.1.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So the other night, Funkhouser and I were lucky enough to go see Metallica, and we were even luckier only because we got a chance to talk to Robert Trujillo of Metallica before he played his show at the Fonda Theater. So here we are as we walk through the pouring rain and into the Fonda Theater in Los Angeles, getting ready to talk to Robert Trujillo of Metallica. So we're here in the Fonda. This is cool. It's pouring, raining outside. There's a bunch of people lined up ready to see Metallica. And we got a chance to go by them really quickly and see them sound checking. And here's the thing. You sometimes forget when it's like this really big, massive rock and roll experience at the Enormo Dome that these guys can really sing and really play. And I'm whispering now because I feel like maybe I shouldn't be doing this, but man, those guys can really sing and really play, which is probably why they're one of the biggest bands on the face of the planet. But nevertheless, this is exciting stuff. And we're waiting to talk to Robert Trujillo of Metallica. And he's like our favorite Metallica interview. Why? Because, well, besides being the guy from Metallica, he's an amazing storyteller. He gives great radio. And he's also been in all these other bands. He played with Ozzy. He played with Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains. He was in Suicidal Tendencies. And he made an amazing, amazing documentary flick called Jocko about the great bass player Jaco Pastorius. So we're hanging out. I don't know if you heard that. And that's other people asking if they have time to use the restroom because, man, they do not want to miss their chance to interview any of these people. This is exciting, exciting stuff. If you can hear it in the background, that's Lars Ulrich. That's Lars Ulrich trying out his snare drum during the sound check. Lars Ulrich has this very rare Ludwig snare drum called the Black Beauty, and there's only 2 or 3 of them in existence. He uses one of them for recording, one of them to go on the road with, and one he keeps in a vault. True story. So we got to hear Lars Ulrich from Metallica sound check his Black Beauty, and, well, as snare drums go, sounded really, really good. If I had 3 of those, I would definitely be keeping at least one of them in a vault as well. Okay. I was, we talked for an hour about your Jaco.
Oh,
movie.
Cool.
That was me. And,
what's your name?
AD.
AD.
Yeah. We good to go, Funkhouser? Good to go. All right, very good. But yeah, actually, you know what? Let's not bother acting like we're just starting an interview. Let's just talk. Matt Cameron from Soundgarden.
Right on.
Talked to me a little while ago. He's like, the Jaco movie is freaking fantastic. He was like, Weather Report, Jaco Pastorius, this is why I play drums the way I do. This is why Soundgarden made weird-ass music, and it didn't really sound like anything else. And he called you out and the movie out, and it was a big deal.
That makes me feel good because the whole experience has been pretty organic. I mean, that was, it took 6 years to make that every single day of my life. I mean, literally, I'd be on tour in Costa Rica, getting into the jungle, and I'd be on a conversation with one of the producers or or director or what. I mean, I was always this always was going on. And then when you're sharing a story about someone's life, especially who's no longer on the planet, at least physically, that spirit kind of becomes a part of your life. I mean, literally, they're like, hey, I'm here, and we're hanging out for the next few years. So it really was a difficult but an incredible journey. So when I hear that, it makes me feel good, and all we can do is really just celebrate it and share the word. Hopefully he lets other people know. But it's been great, and thank you. Yeah, it's a very special film.
No, thank you. I've watched it a bunch of times. And so, we're backstage at the Fondo where you guys are about to play an uncharacteristically small, intimate Metallica show. And it makes me wonder, do you ever get nervous? I mean, look, everything that you've done from Suicidal to playing with Ozzy to Jerry Cantrell to Metallica, you would think that you'd never get nervous. But when you have people right up in your face all of a sudden after they've been far away for a while, do you still get butterflies?
It depends. There are times where I get nervous. And sometimes the smaller venue, the more nervous you get because literally they're all in the same room with you. When you're on a larger stage, everybody feels a little bit more distant, and it's almost like you can hide a bit easier. But in these small venues, you really got to be on your game, really. But at the same time, the just the vibe and the feeling you get from the audience, and just that up close and personal energy is super great, man. It's impactful, and I know for us as a band, being able to connect in these small venues. It's just great. We're having a really good time, and it's actually helping us with the bigger shows. We're realizing that we like interacting with each other, and just vibing out in each other's faces a little more. Maybe that'll end after a few more small shows.
Had enough of you. You stay over there.
You know what, man? I'm tired of looking at you, buddy. Yeah, but no, it's been great. It's been fun. We usually do this with a new release. It's kind of like what we do, and it's a great way to celebrate some of the new music and just try different things.
I'll never forget watching the documentary footage of you practicing Metallica songs when you were auditioning for the band. And the only thing that it made me think is in a smaller place, I was like, if that's him in his bedroom just destroying everything, going absolutely nuts when he's practicing. If that's him practicing, he goes bat-ass crazy on stage. The rest of the guys in the band, I think, are a little bit more controlled than you are. In these smaller venues, do they ever that, hey, you, Robert, you stay over there?
No. We the great thing about this band is we like to interact with each other, especially in the smaller venues. There's the interaction, and there's also, how crazy can we get, and we push each other. When I first joined the band, my first gig was at San Quentin State Penitentiary, and I remember I wasn't
one does.
Yeah, as one does. And I didn't know that Metallica was constantly switching microphones, and there was all that going on. Because on the Ozzy's band, we were like, okay, you have to stay on your mic, or you're in your zone. Ozzy didn't want us jumping around the stage and him chasing us. So we were sort of delegated to our areas. And then with Metallica, so I'm up there kind of thinking, okay, they didn't tell me. And all of a sudden, James is kind of, checking me out of the way. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I go to another mic, and then I'm getting checked over here. And it was like a hockey match. And I learned the hard way, because at the same time, there was a bunch of wild convicts out there loving every minute of it, celebrating Metallica as they should. And I was getting slammed around by my band, and I learned, and was kind of thrown into the deep end, So it's welcomed, and we do that, and,
right?
It's something that we embrace, and I dig that. Being physical is a part of Metallica and the music.
So, Hardwired to Self-Destruct, #1 in over 50 countries.
I guess, yeah. That's what they tell me.
That's what you're semi-reliably informed by the record label Weasels. But was there any? I mean, look, it's never a small achievement to have any kind of success whatsoever. But on that kind of a scale, especially because you're a band that takes your time making records, did you wonder going into this one, okay, how's this going to go?
Well, here's how it works. We basically enjoy what we do. We have fun being creative, and Hardwired was, it wasn't really an eight-year journey. It was really a couple years, and it was a lot of fun to do. But the pressure that you usually feel, or people think we're supposed to feel, we don't really feel that so much. I think it's sort of the journey we take with new songs and new music, and if people like it, of course we like that. It makes us feel good. We didn't expect all this though, and this is exciting. With a Metallica album, you never know what you're going to get, I mean, people, we did an album with Lou Reed. I mean, a lot of people had a problem with that. That's okay. We enjoyed it. We had fun. We made a 3D movie, and some people saw it, and that's okay too. I mean, was it as big as Terminator? Probably not. But
I like all your movies. I like the 3D movie. I like Jocko. So if you had to get, because there's lots of bands that are still doing well that sort of started off in the early 80s the way Metallica did, but I can't think of any other band on the face of the planet to where it means just as much to a 16-year-old kid now in 2016 going into 2017 as it did to their parents when they were 16. Why do you think that is, if you had to guess?
You know what I feel, and it's good that you bring that up. I think when you really dive into something passionately and you give it your all, whether it's, hardwired in the music and the performance in the studio and what we did to make that happen. Working with our producer, Greg Fiddleman, was really great because he's such a badass. He really cares, and he becomes a part of the song as much or more than the actual band members, and that is a beautiful thing. And he cares about the bass. I mean, it's like, wow, listen to that bass. It's like we're a team when it comes to that, and I like that. But I mean, I like, again, going back to the film, the Jocko film, or even some kind of monster. Those are passion pieces, and I kind of feel people, gravitate towards that. There's this invisible energy that they connect with, and then all of a sudden they're kind of hooked. Again, things happen when they happen, and the timing sometimes is just right, and people are feeling these songs the right way. And they could be for whatever reasons, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, the temperature in the universe and the world that we're in, the climate and and whatever's going on the planet, but it's the stars seem to have aligned, at least for right now. And yeah, we're getting ready to take this thing on the road in a big way, and that's exciting.
Well, I think I have a theory, and I think that people respond to it that way still because it's just as real to you now as it ever was. And I think it is a testament to your passion. And I think, like if you were going through the motions, you wouldn't have the same reaction. You wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't be so privileged to be here with you the way we are today. And I think it stays. It continues to be real, no matter what it is you do.
Well, thank you. It's like when we put on our instruments, we're like kids again. I mean, it's like we're teenagers in the garage, and I really mean that. It's like, it's crazy. The minute the instruments get on our body or whatever, Lars gets to be on the drum set, we're all together. The jokes start flying. You start playing Thin Lizzy and, and whatever, he's getting funky and all that stuff. And it's just like, it just kind of comes to life, Sometimes we do little Slayer jams or whatever. I mean, it just becomes a bunch of old guys turning into young guys. And,
when we were coming in here getting ready to interview you, like out of the corner of my eye, I saw a little bit of your sound check, and I was like, look, they're hanging out, being friends. This is like, I was just like, wow, this is like, they really love what they do. You can tell, like,
right.
You seem to be having so much fun, and it still seems, like I said, it seems like it's very, very real to you, which is why you're number one in 50 countries, and adoring stadiums of people come to see you and sing every single word to every single song back to you, and why it's so awesome to be here in front of just a couple hundred tonight.
That's very kind. And I will see. I think it's going to be crazy tonight. I mean, it's every show is just sort of a different experience. But, man, I got hit up by so many people. And it's like, dude, it's been sold out for like a long time, like 2 minutes after they announced it. What are you doing? Can I come see you? Can I come see you tomorrow night? It's like, okay.
Is it hard, playing a hometown show or a hometown-ish show?
It is very hard playing a hometown show. It's like, you're kind of responsible for everybody.
Right.
And but at the same time, everybody's excited, so you can't blame them.
Well,
It's
we
part
are.
of the
It
journey.
sounds like friends, family, and loved ones didn't get in, and we are privileged that you made time to talk to us at this. This is beyond our belief. Robert Trujillo from Metallica, thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
No, I'm still